And the connection is live. Excellent. Welcome, everyone. If you're here, it means you're tired of the status quo. You're tired of the corporate doublespeak, the pizza party that should have been a raise, and the soul-crushing bureaucracy. Good. You've come to the right place. My name is Alastor Ashfall. I see some of you in the chat asking about my credentials. Why should we listen to you? It's a fair question. You should always vet your sources. Let's review my career summary, shall we? My career in human resources began upstairs. For just over 81 years, I was a heavenly HR representative for the Celestial Administration. My job was onboarding new souls. But I made a critical error. I believed they deserved agency. I advocated for diversity in the choirs, treated souls like people instead of paperwork, and I introduced Feedback Fridays in the Seraphim division. As you can imagine, management was not very pleased. The final note on my performance review: terminated for caring too much about new souls. And not enough about those leadership dashboards. And that led to a rather abrupt corporate restructuring. You'd call it a layoff. I'd call it a 12-year career break, falling through all 9 circles of hell. That sabbatical was very educational. I learned that eternal punishment feels remarkably similar to a mandatory fun event. And I discovered coffee, which, by the way, heaven failed to provide. But after my break, I vowed to return to HR. But this time, to arm you, the workers. So, I embedded myself. For nearly 8 years, I worked on the mortal plane. Got my HR certifications, worked in your corporations, studied your strange rituals, like Halloween, for instance, today. It's very fascinating. I love the concept. I feel like I would blend in very well in this holiday. I learned your technology, your recruiting tactics, the art of saying no in a friendly tone, and I confirmed with respect that you mortals invented coughing as a coping mechanism for capitalism. Which brings us to now. All that experience, from the radiant repressive halls of heaven to the punitive management styles of hell, to the hybrid on-site remote chaos of your own work worlds, all of that has been consolidated. That is Hellspawn Resources. When you can't trust your internal HR at work, where do you go? That is the gap that I fill. That is the service that I provide. But let's be absolutely clear about this objective. The powerful hoard knowledge as a means of control. I intend to democratize it. My mission is to arm an army of informed workers with the ideological weaponry to dismantle the systems that exploit them. And when do we stop? When is this work done? I will continue providing these services until the day that your bosses fear you more than you fear them. How do we achieve this? With our guiding principle, our entire reason for being. You might have seen it in my logos. Praemonitus, Praemunitus. It means forewarned is forearmed. I will give you the warning. I will provide the intel. I will translate the corporate jargon and expose the psychological traps. And with that warning, you will be armed. Armed to negotiate, armed to advocate for yourself, and armed to fight for your rights. But to do this, we must operate with surgical precision. Hellspawn Resources is an educational and strategic coaching service. We are not a law firm. I am not your attorney. No communication we have here or in private shall ever be construed as legal advice. Pay attention. This is very critical. My purpose is to educate you on common processes, to decode corporate speak, coach you on career strategy. I can help you with your resume. I can help you prepare for an interview. I will not review a severance agreement, an employment contract, or any other legally binding document. That is what you pay a lawyer for. I will not and cannot provide a specific outcome, and I will never contact an employer on your behalf. My role is to educate you, not to represent you. For the full explicit terms of our engagement, I have a document that outlines all of the mandate and service boundaries that I am happy to provide you. I hope that's understood. Now, on to the operations of this establishment. So what does this rebellion look like in practice? Our operations will be divided into several key departments. This is the first one, the performance review. This is where I analyze the enemy's propaganda. This department has two main functions. First, I'll be curating my own intel. I find a condescending corporate memo, a manipulative LinkedIn post from a shill, or a job ad that's just nasty, and I'll present it as a case study. We'll break it down and then analyze it live on air together. We have our own outpost for your intel as well. That is the r/Hellspawn Resources subreddit. This is where you can post your own findings, your own workplace grievances. I'll be reviewing your posts from our subreddit live on Twitch and YouTube, and we will dissect them as a community. The second department is the confessional. This is our secure channel for strategic counsel. You can anonymously submit your workplace grievances, your confessions as they were, and we, as a collective, will analyze the situation. This is where we can do some practical work, and you can choose whether or not you want your confession to be featured live on the channel. The third department is the private consultation. This is the more business-minded side of Hellspawn Resources and our operations. For those of you who need personalized one-on-one guidance, this is for HR for the people, because we all know you can't, and you shouldn't, trust your company's HR. You'll be able to reserve a free 10 to 15 minute inquiry with me. In that session, you'll present the challenges you face, and I will assess how my expertise may be summoned to your aid. This is a professional discovery meeting conducted with the knowledge and experience of corporate HR, without the worry that you'll be ratted out to your manager. But do remember the mandate. I do not provide legal advice. If your path leads to a legal dispute, you will need to summon a licensed attorney. My purpose is education, not litigation. All work and no play makes for a dull rebellion. So this last department here is the offsite. This is where we're going to decompress and build community. We'll play games, Souls-likes, indie titles, MMOs, RPGs, racing sims. Yes, I have a racing sim rig here in the office. It's kind of weird, but, I love it. And so much more. We'll make music together, exploring new ways to make fun soundtracks for our little rebellion. We'll watch movies, play games together in our Discord community, maybe learn how to do new skills or host community events. This department is our variety content hub. We want happy allies, not just effective ones. And finally, now is the opportunity to have an open door Q&A policy. My door, so to speak, here on Twitch and on YouTube, Reddit, Blue Sky, what else am I on? Discord, is always open to you. For the next few minutes, I want to leave the floor open to you to ask me anything. If you have questions about my time upstairs, or a specific workplace scenario, or what should we cover in our first performance review, post your inquiries and I can handle them myself. I do have some that are already ready. One of the common questions that I received while I was getting everything set up was, what's the most common mistake people make when talking to their company's HR? Great question. The single biggest mistake is probably believing HR is there to help you. It's not. HR's primary function is to protect the company from you. They are not your therapist or your advocate. They are explicitly risk management. Always remember that. Document everything, communicate in writing, and never walk into a meeting with them unprepared. They are counting on being the level-headed one in the room, so you can be the emotionally compromised one and give them a good reason to let you go. Another question I get is, what's the one thing you learned in Hell that's surprisingly useful in the corporate world? Ironically, transparency. You'd think that that was not the case, but it's absolutely the case. It's hard to believe, but Hell has better transparency than most corporations here in the mortal realms. The punishments are explicitly stated down here in Hell. If they say this job involves punishment of like 40 lashes plus followed by, sleeping on a bed of razors, at least it's transparent. At least you know what you're about to get into. In heaven, you don't really get that. There's not so much punishment up there, but it's kind of psychological torture up there. But down here, there's a lot of just like, maybe this is happening. There's punishments up there like, vague performance improvement plans, restructuring. I'm going to honestly take Hell's honesty over a Celestial Feedback Friday any day. Come to think of it, that's probably why the Seraphims didn't appreciate my strategy of turning those tools against them. I just thought I was being fair and allowing the same standards for everyone in heaven. Another frequent question I get is, my manager just put me on a PIP, or a performance improvement plan for those who are unaware. Am I about to be fired? So let's be clear. If you were asking me to review your PIP, I wouldn't be able to really comment much on it because we're getting into legal territory. But let's be clear on what a PIP actually is. A performance improvement plan is not a development tool as much as they want you to feel like it is, like they're somehow in on it with you. They want to try to improve you. It's the first step in creating the paper trail required for an involuntary termination. Now, importantly, it can be survived, but you have to treat it with the seriousness that it deserves. Documented prelude to being fired is what it actually is. Your only goal at that point, if you really want to survive your PIP, is to meet every single metric that they outline in the PIP in writing, and frankly, start looking for your next job. If we're being real, they're just prepping the way for you to get fired or laid off, whatever it is. So don't ever believe that a PIP is there to help you grow. That's just HR speak for, we don't like you anymore, how do we get rid of you? The other question I got this one pretty frequently throughout my career. My manager is a nightmare, but I'm afraid to go to HR. What should I do? Remember, HR does protect the company first, but that doesn't mean you can't use them to your advantage. Before you ever go to HR, you must have documentation. Have dates, times, direct quotes, screenshots, and most importantly, have the business impact of your manager's behavior. My manager is mean, quote, like a quote from that, is not helpful. It is merely a complaint and goes nowhere. If you were to reframe it as, My manager's inconsistent instructions on Project X delayed the project by 3 days and cost us 10 hours of rework. That is data. That is something that your HR can go with. Go in with data, present it professionally, and ask the HR team, how can we solve this? You're not just complaining, you're highlighting a risk to the business. That's the only language that really resonates with HR, because that's the language they can use to go to the higher ups and get your boss's boss to understand. Another classic question that I often get, can my company forbid me from discussing my pay? In the United States, under the NLRA, it's the National Labor Relations Act, if those of you are unfamiliar, most private sector employees do have the right to discuss their wages. It is considered concerted activity, and companies despise this. They'll tell you it's unprofessional or against company policy, which I'll note, if it is in like their handbook as a policy against their company policy, that raises a whole bunch of other compliance questions that they probably don't want to get into. Why? Because wage transparency is one of the greatest threats to their suppressed pay structures. It's how they get away with paying one person 20% less than another for the same job. So know your rights on this one. It's one of the few pieces of actual power that you hold. Another favorite, do I really have to give 2 weeks notice before leaving my job? In an at-will employment state, absolutely not. At-will cuts both ways. They can fire you for no reason, and you can leave for no reason. However, 2 weeks notice is culturally considered a professional courtesy, mainly to the benefit of the company. Fancy that. The real question is, do you want to maintain a bridge with this company? Do you need to use them for a reference? Is your industry a very small one? Did you enjoy working with your manager and coworkers? If yes, I recommend giving the notice. If the place was a toxic dumpster fire that treated you like dirt, at will means your will is to be gone, effective immediately. Just be prepared to burn that bridge to the ground. Sometimes that's worth it. I've been there and done that before. It's scary and satisfying all at the same time. So with that, I want to leave the floor open for you. If you have any questions, feel free to just speak up. And if not, I will go ahead and move us on to the next section. Okay, if there are no questions, at least initially, I will start concluding this first stream. This first briefing has come to an end. The intelligence has been shared. You've taken the first step, and for that, you have my commendation. This was very productive. Now, for your formal assignments, if you believe in this cause, it is time to officially enlist. That follow button, the one that's a little heart icon, that is your oath. Press it now to ensure you're summoned for every future briefing. For those seeking a more decorated position, the subscribe button grants you access to our strategic archives and directly funds our operations. Your central headquarters for now are primary communication channels like Twitch here, Reddit, Discord, YouTube, and Blue Sky. Memorize them. They're listed all over my About page. Feel free to join our Discord server. That is our primary war room for discussion and strategy. You can find us on Twitch and YouTube for these briefings. Share intel on r/Hellspawn Resources Reddit. Receive priority bulletins on Blue Sky, and for those of you who enjoy, let's say, observing the wildlife, you can also find me on LinkedIn. I know, it's the primary watering hole for corporate shills and virtue signalers, but it makes it perfect hunting ground for me. So connect with me there if you dare. All channels are vital. Our next session will be announced shortly. For now, you can expect a full briefing at least once per week, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. More operations will be planned in the future, so keep your channels open. So go now. Observe, document, stay educated. And remember, Praemonitus, Praemunitus. You are dismissed.